Oftentimes when I'm working with educators, particularly educators who may be new to any kind of systematic commitment to character education, virtues education, their position is almost as if they're wondering whether or not they want to venture into this daring and new arena of being a character educator. And sometimes I'll ask them and say, who in here has already done character education? Or who here is already committed to doing character education? And in fact, those are trick questions, because every educator is always a character educator. Over 2,000 years ago, Aristotle said that every adult who's around children impacts their character, whether they like it, intend it, or not. Or another simple way of putting this is, there is no off switch. One way to see this is if you happen to be a teacher who in a given year gets students into his or her classroom who come from a group of different teachers, or even two different teachers the prior year, and you can quickly tell which teacher they had last year just by the way they function in your classroom. You can tell that last year's teacher had an impact on their character. Well, you're somebody's last year teacher too. Every teacher impacts kids' character. So the question is not whether to do character education, because to quote Aristotle, every teacher impacts character whether they like it, intend it, or not. But rather the question is, will you do it intentionally? Will you do it systematically? Will you do it effectively using evidence-based methods? And will you do it focused on the positive character development of youth? Otherwise, you may be harming the character of students without even knowing it. Many educators come to education because they want to impact the future of youth. They want to help children be their best selves and so on. But along the way, we so narrow the lens that it becomes a matter of just academics. And it never really has been, and really shouldn't be. It's more over the last half century or so, in the Western world at least, that we've narrowed and narrowed and narrowed that lens with the technological boom and the space race early on, and many other issues that lead us to think of schools as mini aeronautical engineering institutions. But in fact, education's always been about the holistic shaping of youth. And we need to return to that in a more systematic and scientific way. Every teacher has that as part of their role definition, whether they know it or not. And every teacher needs to learn that that is what they're about, along with academics, and then needs to learn how to do it masterfully and effectively.